So I got a positive response to my first Star Trek personal log. I wasn't sure whether I was going to do any more, but I got the really good feedback. Some people really seemed to like what I had to say, and I don't know. It's Star Trek. I mean, I got plenty to say on Star Trek because, as you know, if you watched the previous video, and if you didn't, this video is linked to it, so go back and watch that first. Not that it won't make any sense, because, well, it's Star Trek. Everybody knows Star Trek. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to talk about one of the things that people say about original series Star Trek, where they put it down. And I don't think it's a valid put down. People put down the special effects. Now, I just want to point out that this is like, the late 60s. The series came out in 66, ran into, 69. If you look at, like, major motion pictures from that time, okay, the Star Trek special effects aren't quite as good as, 2001 Space Odyssey or Planet of the Apes. Both great, sci-fi movies that had some special effects. I mean, Planet of the Apes had a great scene where the ship comes down and crashes in the lake at the beginning. All right, I don't want to get too much into other movies, other things that aren't Star Trek, because this is a video about Star Trek. But just for comparison, that's what we're talking about there. That was the state of the art. And, people put down, like the phaser effects, but they're not all that bad. I mean, for TV and for the time. I mean, look, I'm not stupid. I understand that they're not great. And they've got this new edition, whatever it was called, Star Trek something or other. I don't remember. I don't have TV, as you might recall, so I don't get to see it. But I've seen some of the stuff on the net where they redo the special effects. They do some CGI and stuff. I don't remember what it's called. Enhanced. Star Trek Enhanced. That's it. And that's pretty cool. I mean, they're pretty honest with the original. They don't try to hide too much. They just they enhance it, I guess. So it's a great name. But yeah, I mean, it's the special effects really aren't bad. And compare the special effects to shows later. Some science fiction shows like compared to Battlestar Galactica in the 70s. I'm not talking about the newer one. But back in the 70s, it was like 78, 79. Those Battlestar Galactica, for example, that show went out of production because it cost so much to do those special effects. And while those effects are considerably better than what you saw in Star Trek, which was 10 years earlier, still, it cost that much more money, and the show went under just because of that. Now, I mean, it's a whole other issue as why the original Star Trek went down. All right, that's another issue entirely. But it wasn't because of budget. So, and I guess the other point I wanted to make was you understood what was going on. I mean, the special effects, all right, now to our sophisticated eyes, yeah, they kind of look a little cheesy. But back in the day, they didn't. But regardless, you still kind of understand what's going on. Like last night, I watched The Apple, the one with Vol and the people who feed Vol. I don't know if you remember, there's a big machine that controls the planet. It's one of them, one of those episodes like that, all right? So you got that, and the lightning comes down, and the lightning looks cheesy. And you can see that it's just a fade. The lightning comes down, that's a special effect there. They fade, the guy kind of glows, and then there's just this little charred spot on the ground with the smoke coming up. You can see easy that it's a fade, but you know what it is. I mean, it's not like you're not sitting there going, "Gee, I wonder what's going on here." It's an effective effect. So and even with the Enterprise phasering the little serpent head there, it's not the best, but I don't know. It's effective. You know what it is. So I don't know. I just don't think that's necessarily valid. I think when you look at what the technology was and the budget, it looks good. And go back and check out like Next Generation first season or so. That's over 20 years old now. See how well that holds up. The effects aren't all that great there either. I mean, that's just the way that things are. The effects move on. There's very few shows that that can hold up. That's why Lucas had to redo his Star Wars into special edition, because the effects just didn't hold up. You can see the little windows around the TIE fighters and stuff like that. So when Star Trek, until now with Star Trek Enhanced, hadn't been retouched. Maybe they did some remastering or whatever, but it's what you got to do to a show because of the way that it is. But they didn't change any of the effects. Maybe the color balance, this, that, or the other thing. So really, people who are ragging on the cheesy look of original Star Trek, I mean, I think it's kind of a classic look. It's the old science fiction look, from kind of like the 50s, stuff like that. Forbidden Planet. I mean, that's the way, that was the inspiration, a lot of the inspiration for original Star Trek. So, at any rate, with a limited budget and, limited technology, you use your technology and your special effects to their best use, and I think that's what Star Trek did. So, at any rate, beam me up.